Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by Jian Batra to preview Game Week 5. Now Jian, this is the first time you've been on this season, since pre-season, since the game has started. And I think it's a phenomenal week to have you on because you are coming off the back of a truly unbelievable Game Week 4. As you can see from Jian's rank on screen, a very, very strong start to the season. You've got to be delighted with that so far, my friend.
Yeah, it's been really good, especially after I was, I think, 47th in the Hub League after Game Week 2.
Really?
So, yeah, it's been a good 2 weeks to kind of bounce back and hopefully have a shot at a good rank.
Let's get your team up on screen because a massive rank jump. Obviously, you know, rank increases and decreases are big at this period of the season, but still to go up by 300,000 to 122k is very, very impressive. 88 points, a huge week, and the majority of those points, well, at least on a player by player basis, have come from one man, Son.
Yeah,
chat to me. I want to know, you know, he's flavor of the week this week, obviously.
Yeah,
the Tottenham boys looking really good. How come you managed to get Udogie, Maddison and Son in your team before their huge hauls last week?
Yeah, so with Udogie and Maddison, I started the season with both. I remember I watched, I think Spurs Barcelona was my first game. I got to see Postecoglou, like his system, and I was really impressed considering they were playing basically their B team. It was very apparent to me very quickly that this was a completely different Spurs side. I liked how vertical the system was. I think that's always a good indication of how many goals a team's going to score and how many chances they're going to score. When he started using underlapping fullbacks, not just as a mechanism of control, but to actually progress in those like central areas, I knew that like, okay, this could be a really good opportunity for a team that could fly. Then I looked at the fixtures at the start of the season, and from an attacking perspective, they were really good, like Brentford, Bournemouth. So I was like, yeah, I gotta go for it. And then obviously Son, I really liked what I saw against Bournemouth, basically.
Was that what it was? Okay, the Bournemouth game in particular stood out to you?
Yeah, so with Maddison, I think Maddison's pretty much my favorite FPL asset, and he has been for a couple of years.
Sure.
I watched Udogie a bit in preseason. Really liked the role. Really liked him personally. Thought he was really solid. Those fullbacks with that type of build normally do quite well.
Yeah.
Very powerful, like stride length, so that helped. But from Son, it was the Bournemouth game which I really liked. So the first 60 minutes when he was on the wing, he wasn't actually that wide compared to the previous two games. He was coming inside a lot more. And he found himself isolated with the fullback like a lot when Spurs would kind of stretch Bournemouth the other way. And I knew with Burnley's high line, if he could do that, then Burnley were in trouble. On top of that, they're pressing a 4-4-2, so you always have him on transition higher up the pitch, assuming Richarlison didn't play, which is kind of what I was banking on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really liked a lot of aspects from that performance.
Fair play. I mean, obviously, you probably didn't expect him to score a hat trick, but
yeah.
You know, he's the sort of player that has done it before. It's not the biggest shock ever. Yeah, it's just jumping on the curve before everyone else, which I think is super impressive. So what is it, you know, for people like me who didn't have Son and didn't get on a player that did amazingly this week, what is it that you are sort of looking out for before you get on players like this? Because now it's pretty obvious, right? You know, everyone is thinking about it. Son's a great pick, Sheffield United at home. But, you know, the 20 points has been and gone. What is it that in general you look out for that stands out to you and why you're able to make these sort of moves? I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the first sort of time that this has happened. But is it watching the game and having your own sort of intuition and just thinking, you know what, I've been really impressed with one performance there. Good couple of fixtures coming up next. This is the time to go. What is it for you?
Yeah, so it's a combination of the eye test and just like analyzing the future fixtures. Yeah, so an easier example with that would be Sterling. So I brought him in Game Week 3 for his 19-pointer against Luton, which was a lot of fun. And if you looked at the Liverpool and West Ham game, whilst there were no returns, he played brilliantly. And all the soft signs were there that he could return. He was in the box a lot. He was driving a lot. He wasn't so much like having to spin, receiving the ball late in like the later phases. Rather, he was dropping in a bit. And those are all good, like, small pointers that someone's eventually going to get into the goals. And I really do think it is about a goal. So I'm maybe considering selling Maddison, but we'll come on to that.
Wow.
And yeah. So I like those small signs a lot. And I think if you can get those type of things from the eye test and combine them with the fixtures that stylistically fit the players. For example, Burnley, I knew were going to play a high line. I knew they'd try and play through Spurs. So that's a good counter for Son, or like Son's a good counter for that. And it's kind of combining those two things and seeing where the perfect match is.
There we go. Yeah, off the back of an amazing 88 pointer, let's now jump into your team for the upcoming week. And maybe you can give a little bit of an insight into some other players that you think might do well and score hat tricks in future game weeks. It's one of those, isn't it, son? You're not like, oh, what? It's not a player that we've not heard of. He's been in the league for years now, doing it every season, but very few people were on him last week. So honestly, I've got to say, fair play for picking him up early. Okay, let's get into your team for the upcoming game week. All right, so here it is. Looking pretty good, to be fair. I mean, Son's in. It can't look that bad when you have the triple Tottenham there. Yeah. What are your immediate thoughts? I mean, you've mentioned they're selling Maddison. A player that I notice you don't have is, well, any 6.5 million mid, that the midfield is completely stacked. Is that on your mind? An Mberma or someone like that? Or are you thinking, nah, it's too boring. Let's go for something a little bit more interesting. What are you thinking?
So with them, I think I'm not super keen on DRB yet. Essentially, I probably want a wildcard game week 10. I'm going to really assess it after this week, but let's just assume that's the case for now. I think at that point, I'll get in a 6.5 million mid because then maybe that helps me facilitate Salah. Yeah. And that's maybe something I want to do down the line. So Mberma will be the one if I do go back to them in the short term. I don't want him for Newcastle away. I'm fine not owning him for them. It's just how the game, Everton at home and Forest away, those are the two games where, like, if it goes well for owners, great for them. If not, there's a massive opportunity given I don't have him. So I'll kind of assess after this week. But as for now, I'm not super keen on the 6.5 mids. I just think you can get away without them. There's enough good assets in the tier above without needing Salah. Okay, so let's have a look at your team kind of position by position. You have one free transfer, 1 million in the bank. Yeah, there's scope to do something with it, but maybe you're looking to roll. Who knows? Let's start with the defense because Udogie and Chilwell look good. Who are you going to be playing out of Gvardiol and Estupiñán? Definitely Gvardiol. I think United beat Brighton. It's not too popular at the moment. I think a lot of people think Brighton might turn them over, but I think at home, I think United side probably get a little bit less credit than they deserve at the moment. They've had quite a few issues, but I don't think massively it's to do with the players. So I back them to beat Brighton.
Do you? Yeah, I can't call that game at all. I'm thinking like 2-2, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough.
It's a really tough one. I mean, 3-0 either way, honestly, wouldn't shock me. I think that's a very tough one to call. Okay, so Gvardiol's in. And to be fair, what are your thoughts on him starting the game? The reason why is I asked this because his predicted points are quite low because we're not sure he's going to play. Do you reckon he's going to play?
I mean, after being benched last week and Ake's now injured, he better play.
Exactly.
I'm going to have to sell him pretty soon, so I might as well get one start out of him. Yeah, he's so good on the ball, like going forward. So I'm thinking maybe I nick an assist, maybe I nick a goal from a corner. Whereas with Estupiñán, like I'm so convinced that they concede. Yeah. I'm purely relying on attacking returns. And if Wan-Bissaka is playing down that flank, it's just harder down that flank. So for me, I'm going Gvardiol.
Okay, so that's the defense sorted. In goal, who's going to start?
Turner.
100%?
I mean, like, 100%. Burnley at home, plum fixture. If obviously he gets dropped, then so be it. Pickford can play. But otherwise, Turner will start.
To be fair, it looks as though, I know they've signed the new keeper. It looks as though, just some quotes that I was reading earlier, it's Turner's shirt to lose more than the new signing is going to come in immediately. Okay. So that's encouraging nonetheless. All right, then front seven looks great. So if you were to make a transfer this week, what are you thinking?
So there's two positions in my team that right now I don't massively like.
Okay.
One's Martinelli and one's Jackson.
Yeah.
So I'll start with Martinelli. My issue with Martinelli is the system rather than him. He's just having to do so much of it's just a very wide role. He's definitely getting inside like a decent amount, but not as much as I would like. But now that Jesus is back, I think I said United was his last chance. He might have been saved by an assist. So I think given Jesus is back and him and Jesus is so good for him and like him as an FPR set and it's Everton away, I think I'll give him one more. So he probably survives the chop. But the person I really want to sell is Jackson.
Do you? As a Chelsea fan? Yeah. Tough.
Oh, no.
Okay, talk to me. Why?
So the 4 fixtures I think are like some of the best set you can get in a row. Like even Villa at home is a good fixture because they won't care, especially against us. They'll have a high line.
Yeah.
And it's just such a good fixture for him to exploit. But there comes a point where he can get all the chances in the world, but if he's not going to bury him, then it kind of caps his ceiling as well. And I don't really want to play that's capped at like ceiling wise. So I am considering selling him. I don't know if I can do it before those 4 games, at least not giving him one. But I heard that he missed a few chances against Algeria. Now, I only saw that on the timeline, so that might be completely false. But like, I did see it on the timeline.
Yeah. Well, he played the full game, didn't he? But no goals, no assists.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, who knows?
It's just there's so many good options as well there.
Okay, well, let's get into them. As you said, Jackson, 7 big chances this season. He's only scored a goal.
Yeah.
You know, even expected assists, 1, 0 assists, 1 goal involvement in 4 games. It's not really ideal, is it? Okay, who are you looking at? 1 million in the bank, which means you can go up to an 8 million player. Who is on the radar?
So there's 2 players on the radar. One is the first one, who I'm less keen on, because I really like the Burnley fixture, but then they've got City after. And the other thing that puts me off with him is Wood and Origi. Just like he has, I saw this today because I was checking him out, and he hasn't played 90 minutes once in the Premier League ever, which is
wow.
like, yeah,
Oh,
it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either, and I don't want to play like that, especially this season when you get extra minutes. The fixture's plumb for him, but with City next and his expected minutes not being super great, I think I could maybe fade him. But my new like player that I want is Rasmus Højlund.
Really?
Yeah. I really like.
Okay.
I might pull the trigger on that one. I was pretty close to doing it before.
That is what a. I mean, no one is even mentioning his name. He's how many minutes he played? Like 15?
Yeah, it was enough though. I saw enough. I liked what I saw.
Okay.
I had the move of Rashford and Højlund for Martinelli and Jackson penciled in just after I made the Sun one for game week, for not this game week, for next game week, but I might do the Højlund one a week early. I think he is the perfect counter to Brighton. Up top with Bruno behind him, running in behind, he'll get all the space in the world. He's got Burnley after that. The fixtures are great. He looks good. I like his character as well. He seems like someone he just seems like he will do well. And if Jackson isn't going to be that clinical, realistically, the most I miss out on is maybe like 4 or 5 points.
That's true.
Someone like and like he hasn't got an amazing goal scoring record, but like he just seems like the type to do quite well. And as a player, I really like what I saw in those 15 minutes. I thought he like demonstrated a lot of good things.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, so you expect him to come straight into the team then after that sub appearance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think he has much competition unless he wants to stick Rashford up top and Garnacho on one side, but he doesn't really have a right winger anymore because of Anthony and Sancho's stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. But to be fair, Anthony today in the squad, but who knows what's going on with that?
Yeah,
it doesn't look very good. But I mean, that pick is obviously more risky than someone like Son, who has the pedigree of in the Premier League. But given the track record this season, you've gone Hall, as in like 19. What did Sterling get? Did he get 19? 19, 20. So Højlund to
get 21 goals.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is? Of course it is. Oh my God. Wow. If that's what it is, then I have to say fair play. Fair play.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll do it though, but I'm close. I'm pretty close at the moment.
So if you were to make a transfer,
that's the only one it's going to be probably.
There we go. I mean, we'll get on to the AI recommended transfer now. Yeah. I don't think that it's going to recommend that.
No, I don't think so.
Fair play. Let's see what the AI says. See if it's even close to similar. It's obviously not going to be, but wow, what a shout. Okay, mate. So here is your recommended transfer. It's actually quite an interesting one. Well, the recommended option is to bank your free transfer this week, which is very encouraging because obviously you said you have one free, but with no real pressing issues in your team, that is what you want to see. Bank it, go again next week. Kind of boring, but let's be honest, it does make a lot of sense. There is, however, an alternative option. Fantasy Football Hub always gives you an alternative, something a little bit more fun, perhaps. I don't think you'll be doing this either, but I want to hear your thoughts on the player that's recommending you to buy. It's saying to sell Chilwell and bring in Trippier. Now, we've not talked about the Newcastle defence or team at all. Is that a player that you'd be looking to target?
Yeah, we can talk about him a little bit. If I were to go Newcastle, I would go Wilson or Shaw.
Okay.
I think in this run, Wilson could do pretty well. It's a very Wilson type of run. Like he's had a few games off with the harder games. He seems pretty fit. It's at home. I think he plays Brentford at home, and he's got a few decent games. It's kind of like a prime run for him just to explode. But it's just the expected minutes that kind of puts me off. But I think it's a good punt. Trippier is just too expensive for me.
You think he is?
I don't really see him notching up like the same amount of bonus points as last season, same amount of attacking returns. So for me, especially with like how many good defenders there are for significantly cheaper, and 1.5 so much, I kind of just want to leave it.
I'm not sure about selling Chilwell, to be fair, but I think the recommendation is to bank your free transfer because your team is looking super solid. So to find an alternative in your team that you like is tough. It's pretty simple. Just Trippier's predicted to score higher than Chilwell in every game until game week 9. But Chilwell has that explosive potential, I think, which I'm not sure Trippier does. I mean, Trippier, could get a free kick, but other than that, it's going to be only assists really. Whereas we've seen Chilwell, having massive chances in the box and passing when he should be shooting, etc., etc. So yeah, Probably not going to go with the recommended transfer this week, but if you are to bank, then I guess you would be going with the recommended option nonetheless.
Yeah, then I'll be in a really good position for game week 6. Then I can actually choose if I sell Maddison or not. And then it will definitely make me get Morris in game week 7.
Oh, we're going down the line here. Let's talk about that. Before we get into your future plans, let's actually talk about that because that's interesting. Guys, if you do want to see your own AI recommended transfers personalized to your team, the link to do so is down below. Click it and you'll get exactly this, what we're showing on the screen right now, but for your team. It just gives you something to think about. Okay, let's get back into your team for game week 6 and 7 then, because I want to hear about you selling Maddison. Okay, so here's your team for game week 6. Arsenal away is the fixture, then Liverpool at home for Tottenham. Obviously, we know this. Tell me your thoughts. Maddison a potential out?
Yeah, so I'm 100% benching him next week, like 100%, because I'm starting João Pedro.
Okay.
Obviously, unless I get like Deserbi clearly telling me that he doesn't play, I 100% start João Pedro next week. I also think that Arsenal fixture is being given too much credit to Spurs, right? Like I was so bullish on Spurs and still am, but that is a really good Arsenal side off the ball. On the ball, they've had their few problems this season, but off the ball, it's very difficult to dominate them, and I don't think Spurs will. So especially when he doesn't have that much of a goal threat, it's more of an assist threat, and especially in a game like that where he'll have to work from a lot of earlier phases. I can't see him notching up a haul. It's unlikely. So then I bench him for that. Then game week 7, if I'm going to play Morris for João Pedro, I could quite feasibly bench him again. The Arsenal boys have good fixtures. Same with Chelsea. And then same with the United boys. So if I didn't want to bench him, then I could alternatively just sell him to a Man United asset like Bruno for another good fixture, and then just like bench someone else. So yeah, that's kind of where my thinking's at. Obviously, I'd probably have to buy him back at Nate, so it's quite sideways, but it is a route to being very aggressive.
Yeah, if you want to target those sort of players, I mean, still having João Pedro there again. I mean, he was so good at the start of the season. Who knows? If he does get back in the team, that Bournemouth game does look super enticing. Yeah. Obviously, we're moving on a few game weeks there, but this is what I love about the site as well, is that you can click through all the game weeks of the season and see how your team's shaping up and see your game week rating. But Jian, final question: if I had to ask you right now what you're going to do with your team, are you going to bank or are you going to go for Højlund?
I honestly am 50-50. I think I will watch the press conference. Well, I'll just hear what Ten Hag has to say. But if it's positive on Højlund, I think I might pivot there. Probably depends on my mood Saturday morning, but I might pivot there. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, Jan's Twitter's on screen, as it has been throughout the entire video, and also we'll get a team reveal from you, a final team reveal close to the deadline, maybe Saturday morning, Friday evening, whatever. And that's on the site, Fantasy Football Hub, link down below. If you want to see what Jan ends up doing, I'm very interested, mate. I hope you go for it. I mean, I don't want to press you into going for something that you don't want to do. Obviously, it's your team, but that is fun. And given your history the last couple of weeks with hauls, wow, could be special.
That's the one thing. It's made the game like a lot more fun. Like I don't have the same team, and it has been fun. And that's kind of it's one of the main points. I think winning's a big point as well, and just doing well. But the fun aspect, you gotta have fun.
I agree, man. Like a lot of, but I'm not gonna lie. Get some comments on these videos. Everyone's team's the same. I agree. My team is also very similar, so I'm feeding into that. So it's refreshing having someone on that has different ideas. Is going for these punts. I mean, they're not really even punt. I mean, Son, not really a punt, is he? Great player. Højlund, I think, would be more of a punt.
Yeah.
But respect anyway. Respect. Yeah. Looking forward to see what you end up doing, mate. Thank you very much for your tips and advice. It's been great, and can't wait to have you back on sometime in the future.
Cool. Appreciate it, man.